Hey, thanks for tuning in today. Today we're talking about cyclones. It's not Cyclone Leanne, but Cyclone Alfred, which is due to hit Southeast Queensland on Friday morning. So I'm recording this on Wednesday, releasing it for Thursday. And just want to talk through some contingency planning that's going on here in relation to the cyclone, people's response to it while I'm out for a walk. And I'm getting out now because the wind is picking up. I wanted to get outside before we have to sort of hunker down. And there's been warnings about the cyclone for quite a while. I would say for 4 or 5 days. I've done a pretty good job of giving warnings. And I have to admit, I was a little bit complacent at the beginning of it, thinking, yeah. And maybe because I lived in the Kimberley in the northwest of Australia and we've had sort of Category 2 cyclones and it hasn't been that bad. And so that's my kind of bias coming in. At the same time, I've been keeping up to date with all the reports, looking at the weather patterns in the Facebook groups, and there's various ones, like there's one called Even Storm Chasing, which typically seems quite sensationalized, and then there's other ones a bit more measured, and so it's nice to get just a different view. I think what can create more of the panic is just reading people's comments in those Facebook groups and seeing what they're posting. I think the government's done a really good job in getting people to prepare, but a few days ago they ran out of bottled water, all the shelves are pretty much empty. I've been doing a bit of work. I haven't really been able to make to the shop, so I went out this morning and before 7 o'clock in the morning, there's lines to get into the supermarket. The bakery was getting absolutely pumped. But look, I think we're all ready, so it's not really around the preparedness. What I am worried about, because I was thinking, this is actually quite romantic, getting this time, no power, that's fine, because I've got battery pack as long as my mobile phone is charged. And then I read somewhere, someone was talking about the mobile towers, and if they get knocked out or if there's so much pressure on the system, then we can actually not have internet. And that's when I kind of freaked out a bit, because I was just imagining all this time being able to think and write and create some podcast episodes and do that. If I've got battery charges, that's okay. But if I don't have internet, then we're in for a real problem. And not only that, but the thing about a cyclone is it is unpredictable. That's by its very nature. And there's all the modelling out in the world, but it really depends. And I didn't know this, but if you're south of the cyclone, that's where the biggest amount of wind gusts and damage can occur. So if you're in the eye, it's not as bad, or if you're in the north of it, but if you're on the south of it, it's terrible. And so we've got the red carpet camp out next week. This is a place west of Brisbane. It's a camp out, it's on a property. And so I'm going to talk to Steve later today, and I'm going to look at some contingency planning. My gut is saying that it won't be on because of access roads. I can imagine looking at the maps, it's going to flood. And I think it sucks a lot, but then I think of potentially what is a devastation for people's houses. And this has been the really sad thing listening to the radio, is hearing people at this sandbagging depots. That's where they're picking up their sand to hopefully block out any water through their property, and just hearing people share their anxiety. It's really quite tough. So it kind of feels like a bit COVID-y in terms of the panic buying, the toilet paper and the bottled water. And there's probably been some good advice around planning for the worst. So in terms of that, I think we're all good. So in case of this podcast, what I plan to do is try to upload what I can for the next sort of few days to make sure that I don't miss a day. So I didn't think that would be an option, but then I think, if the internet's down, that's kind of impossible. So I'll do my best to do that. So hopefully you get to hear from me. We'll provide an update on the cyclone where I can in terms of a future episode and the impact on that. I've been in Brisbane the last 2 times it has been flooded, and it's absolutely horrific. Seeing friends' houses gone completely under. I will never forget the smell of that. Seeing incredible local businesses. We got one of my favourite restaurants just down the road, this excellent Greek restaurant in a low-lying area. My heart is going out to them right now. And I think the other thing is the curse of information. I've also been reading, a guy was talking about his time in North Queensland when he was in the eye of the cyclone, actually, and he said it felt like he could hear a jet plane outside his window for 4 hours straight. Eek. So that's a little bit scary. I think the best case scenario is that this is all a hoax and nothing actually happens. Well, there's a bit of rain, but that's it. That would be amazing. Just hoping everyone is okay and safe. But just some reassurance that this podcast will hopefully continue to keep going through this. And it actually just is beautiful weather right now as I'm going for a walk. And it is so true about the calm before the storm. And look, very lucky that we've had all this time to prepare for what is about to occur. Thanks so much, and I'll speak to you tomorrow.